it was really messed up because it sort of created, I feel like it was like a backcloth against which I had to experience myself and my body. So I had to learn about my body through, all the sexual gazing.
Since I was a kid, it's so sad because my mom, from a young age, she tells you how if a stranger comes up to you, from that age, I already knew that my body for other people as is seen as something that people can use. So since from a young age, my mom also had to warn me about it, and there's so many stories of how I just walking in the street, you can't just walk peacefully without someone saying something, catcalling you.
I feel like it's extremely problematic, obviously. I feel like women are only allowed to be sexualized by men, so male gaze vibes, and once we sexualize ourselves, it's like, it's hella taboo.
It's like demeaning to yourself to like sexualize yourself.
Yeah. So you're not allowed to like present yourself sexually on any platform, without scorn.
How do I answer that question? What does it mean to me? I think like hypersexualizing women is definitely like a patriarchal thing. Like it's definitely like a male gaze type of like form of oppression. I think sexualizing women for purposes of like the patriarchy are really like I can't curse.
For me, it just means that women are just seen as like objects, like meat. There's no human being behind that. It's just something you can use for your own pleasure, and you take away the entire meaning of an entire person, a whole person, by just seeing them like as this wall, and that's how I see it as. It's just, yeah.
Hypersexualization of women means that women are immediately seen as per their physical appearance or per their sexual choice or their sexual nature, instead of being seen as a full human being that has a mind, that can think, that have other interests. But we're objectified to foreground our identity as being a sexual being, and that limits women a lot in their life, and it can impact on the quality of their lives.
Like from when I was very little, I could notice the difference between how our bodies are perceived and how boys' bodies are perceived. Like boys can totally walk around, like half naked with their chests out, and that's totally fine. But if a girl were to do that, then that's inappropriate, which is really messed up, because I always felt like for example, if a woman wants to breastfeed in public, people look at her like she's crazy, and that's so functional and like necessary. Like babies need to eat, and like I'm just like, it's totally fine for men to walk around. I don't even know what their breasts are for. They're just like, I don't know what they're for, but they can just walk around and show those out. But when women do that, it's sexual. I don't understand how. So our bodies are sexual even when we're not performing sexual acts. I mean, how much has it changed for different women? And like, how does it go further than how it's changed? Like, how does it change enough to include the way all women express themselves? Like, for example, trans women, how does it go beyond cisgender, middle to upper class white women? How does it transcend to all women?
Men here tell me that like it's okay for me to be queer and for me to be a lesbian because women are sexualized, but they tell me that it's not okay for a man to be gay, and they're talking about like cisgender men here. It's not okay for a cisgender man to be homosexual because that's his masculinity. His masculinity is not valid anymore. But it's okay for me to be into women and to have sex with women and be sexual with women because of like how sexualized women are here.
To be honest, I, I mean, I know that my sexual orientation does play into the way I'm sexualized. For example, if I'm being affectionate with my partner, I know that generally people think we're performing our relationship for them. Like in a club, if we're making out, then men think we're doing it for them. And even when we do invite other people into our space for sex, they always think it's about them, so there's that. But also because I am feminine presenting, I feel like I do pass for a straight girl, so I don't think I experience it the same way as, say, a masculine off-center lesbian would. So there's that, but I do definitely think that it plays into it. It's like your body's already sexual, and as soon as you say I'm a lesbian, it's like, oh, you're fun too. It's yeah.
Catcalling is like a big problem for me. Like, I don't actually walk around ever when I'm, sort of between the hours of like 11 and 5 p.m. in the afternoon, because I'm terrified. It really limits my freedom.
Walking home from school one day, and this guy, it's a car full of guys, and this guy sticks his head out the driver window and he starts making to me. And I've never been disrespected like that before. So I pull my middle finger up at him. I'm like, if you. He stops the car and he reverses back. And he swears me like
you did
I
something
was
wrong.
the wrong person. And then he tries to send his friends out of the car so that I can be taught a lesson. Like, where's the justice in that? Why do I have to be treated like that?
Yeah.
One French guy, we were vibing, and he told me that the only reason why he liked me was because of my Africanness, so also some exotic, some weird sense of seeing, my body. So I felt very disgusted by that, because he literally told me that he only liked me because of my skin color. In that sense, it was a weird way, because in this space, I'm not liked at all because of my skin now. He didn't see me, he just saw some, I don't know what he had, some image, some safari, I don't know, Amazon image in his head. So I've experienced a lot of white men. They just, they have these crazy images and ideas in their head, especially about African women or other indigenous, women. Yeah.
I mean, from like the beginning of time, black women's bodies are always like probed and questioned, and like, it's like it happens everywhere, and it's ridiculous, because you just like realize how serious it is.
And it's kind of crazy because you're a woman, you're supposed to be demure and kind of like keep your sexuality a secret, you're this sacred thing, and then at the same time people expect you to be like this raunchy, buck wild, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like strange, people don't know what to make of our sexuality actually.
My race in South Africa, I've been classified as colored. I self-identify as black, and as both those experiences. I think there is a degree to which black people are more hypersexualized, especially because black people have been seen as the appendices that white people think and black people do. So women should be the carriers of babies. They're being seen through their contribution as womb instead of mind power. Instead of being knowledge creators, they're being seen as people that are there for the pleasure of men. And so the hypersexualization of black women are significantly more in our experience.
For me, it's worse, because I'm an African female. That's already in its own like a battle I have to deal with in a space that doesn't allow me to be myself within my own continent. It's a struggle. And then to be woman on top of that is like every single day is like a struggle. Like, you can't breathe, and you have to, I have to think twice. Like if I see men like working in the street, I'll sometimes take another route and walk around just to avoid that. You know, it's tiring. Like it's really tiring.
For me, it's like, it's so multifaceted, especially like as a woman, because culture plays into it, but then again, in our day and age, media plays a big role in it as well, especially as a black woman, because the most common image of a black woman is in like a music video, twerking, being somebody's little thing, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of what's projected to us, people take and play into their own lives as well. So there's a lot of like weird sexual expectations of you.
Yeah, it's really damaging. It really is. It really is, because I think body image issues become a big part of all of your interactions. They become a part of how you interact in social spaces, even at work. How you express yourself sexually too. They become a part of your mental illness, or your, I guess, mental health issues. I don't think you can feel good if you do not feel like the way you look. Just because we've also, I mean, the world has such a big emphasis on how women look. You know, it almost feels like women exist to be pretty or exist to be attractive. And if you cannot be attractive, if you cannot be pretty, then it sort of feels like you have no contribution to the world. So it becomes a really, really big thing. And it's really messy if your kind of beauty is not beautiful anywhere, because then you'll just never be able to feel good.
Oh my god, first the body has to be on point, you know, gotta have like a small waist and some crazy body images. Your skin has to be perfect. If you have a pimple, it's like, oh, it's a pimple, but you can't have that. Your hair has to, like, it's just like unrealistic, like really unrealistic standards people have for women to be a certain way, yeah, physically.
I feel like the hypersexualization of women and seeing that just made me hate my own body and made me like want to make my body into something that it's not, just for like the social exception.
Without TV and without the internet, we wouldn't have access to a lot of the damaging beauty standards and a lot of the damaging sort of views around our bodies.
Don't use our bums to sell your cars. Don't use my lips and my legs to sell your products.
And it just carries this Western-centric physical ideal and like beauty standard across the whole world, and then everyone sort of spends all their time trying to measure up to it.
All of these things just have to do with men thinking that they're in control of us and that what they say goes. The fact that if you tell somebody no, they get angry. Why? It's my body. I'm deciding what to do with it. Why are you angry? So it's this constant pressure of having to do what a man wants and having to face consequences for doing what you want.
I think that's really messy, because then it plays into a lot of the ways that we internalize it, and then we have respectability politics, and like in the way that we want to dress and the way that we think how we dress influences how people treat us, which is not really true.
If men just see them as potential sexual beings and not as real thinking people with good skills, then they will be put secondary again to men. That's firstly, and secondly, it's just not a healthy for women's emotional well-being to always being seen and being expected to react in a sexualized way. And there's definitely a lack of full self-expression. the full identity doesn't have a chance to come out. And yeah, I think it's just at the psychosocial level, it's not a very good quality of life. And so it will be great if we can push back. And that's why we do need more safe spaces for women, where we can externalize those things and just be comfortable in our own skin as powerful human beings with minds and bodies in our own right.
Body positivity is also sex positivity, and is also being able to, desexualize yourself and desexualize your nudity, and to be able to experience your nudity as just a naked body and not just, and not like a sexual thing.
I resent that so much, because I feel like there's a lot of power in sexuality and a lot of power in feminine sexuality.
It also depends on like where the power is being exerted from.
Yeah.
So like if you're claiming that power for yourself, it's
so
quite different having that power like exerted upon you.
You have less access to your personal power if you are economically or socially excluded or politically excluded. So it's literally a job for like a very intersectional movement. Like everything has to be transformed. It's not like we can't, I guess we can't fix body image, and we can't fix the way we see ourselves before we fix the spaces that we have to carry ourselves out and carry our sexuality out. It's like everything has to change together. Silence begets a girl, or a sinkhole turns in a woman's womb and a girl is born in flight mode, with a tongue in throat and dead air in the eyes, unmoving and opaque, scolding men with her audacity for stillness, not voicelessness, a quiet current, a numbness you must consent to, one you must knuckle under at will, an omission of defense, a refusal to war, to acknowledge the violence of his presence. This is how to give birth. The girl is born for silence, or silence is born for the girl. This is how to make love. Men must run. Someone should tell them that a quiet current swallows you all the same. The girl will not say no. The girl will not say anything.
Block that ass. It's called editing. Editing.
So yeah, it's hectic.
Hectic being a woman.
You don't want no problem.